All right, folks, I hope we are on. If we are not, I'm sure I will find out sooner rather than later. But hi, everybody. Welcome into the Hometown Sports Huddle here on WDBJ 7+. I'm Dave Walls. Busy Monday so far. First of all, hope it hasn't been too much of a Monday for you. But let's talk a little bit about some of the bigger news stories today. And, of course, the first one, I think, has to come in Charlottesville, where Aaron Roussel has been named the new head coach of the Virginia Cavaliers women's basketball team. Well, that's for our next story. But there he is, Aaron Roussel. Of course, named the new head coach over at UVA. Interesting press conference today. First of all, plenty of energy and excitement for the hire of Roussel, who comes from Richmond. Of course, a couple stops before that, including Bucknell, then spent a few years, I believe 6 years, over at Division III's Chicago. But Roussel got a lot of some very interesting questions. I think he brought a lot of excitement to this press conference because of course, there's still questions surrounding how this position became available. Of course, with Amaka Agugwa-Hamilton and her departure really kind of looming a little bit. Nobody really brought it up, of course, but certainly we saw plenty of, I don't want to say shoveling that aside, but people were more focused on Aaron and what he brings to the table. And what he does bring to the table, frankly, is he brings a lot of excitement into Charlottesville because, as we see video of him at the press conference earlier today with Carla Williams, he's a proven winner wherever he goes. He's led Richmond to multiple NCAA tournaments, as long as taking Bucknell there, and then had success at Division III Chicago, roughly around 480 wins, I believe, off the top of my head. So he's done plenty of big things. I think one of the most enlightening things he said was, about his recruiting pitch now to new recruits who are coming into Charlottesville. Let's listen to that.
I'm telling you, when I'm talking to kids, this is going to be a place that should win at the highest of levels on the national stage. And that's my pitch to recruits. And then once we get the right kids in here, it's giddy up and let's go. If this were just about surviving or just about having, there'd be other places Coach Roussel would be at. I'm here because I think this can be really, really great.
And so with those words, the Roussel era begins, and also bringing in some exciting additions to his coaching staff. Kelly Ray Finley, who last season was the head coach at Florida, is now going to be an assistant on his staff. Also, Darren Gensch, who was an assistant at Virginia Tech last year under Megan Duffy, is going to be joining him. Now, the two of them have previous history. He was on the staff in Richmond a few years ago when Roussel was getting his start there before he would then go on to Mississippi State and then Virginia Tech last season. But very exciting. I think that's the things frankly, that if you're a Virginia fan, you want to hear, because through the last two regimes, there's been a lot of talk about this is the move that's going to get us over the next level. And when the Cavaliers finally made that run into the Sweet 16, it was a surprise because we all thought the talent was there in Charlottesville, but they never developed that consistency. Hamilton was under 500 during her time in the ACC, 29-42 record there. So certainly, Roussel says, this is the type of team that can win and win now. And so here's a little bit more of the press conference. I didn't want to bring this up, but here's some of the raw video from today's press conference. Let's put that on.
Here's been really, really picky. We were not looking to leave Richmond. Richmond was a great place. But this place is really special. This place is really going to do great things. Seeing the crowd right again. I'm going to tell you, man, I think my agent is here, and he's probably been yelling at me here for the last few years. Been really, really picky. We were not looking to leave Richmond. Richmond was a great place. But this place is really special. This place is really going to do great things. Seeing the crowd right here today, what you guys are going to be a part of. I told a group upstairs, staff and I, man, we got a lot of work to do. And we'll talk about staff. We got a lot of work to do in this environment. Y'all got some work to do as well. We got to fill that place. We got to create a buzz. We got to get this thing rolling, and it's going to be sustained excellence, right? We're going to build this thing so it's not just, hey, how are we going to be in a few months? This is going to be a sustained excellence program, how we go about things, how we handle ourselves. The perception of our women's basketball program will matter, and you guys will be very, very proud of being fans, but also just being a part of what Virginia women's basketball will be. So I thank you guys, open for questions, and really, this is very humbling. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off in the front with questions. If you please introduce yourselves, your name and your media affiliation. We'll start with Jeff.
Hey, Coach. Jeff White, VirginiaSports.com. Early in your coaching career, you spent 8 seasons at the University of Chicago. How did your experience in Division III shape you as a coach, and has it helped you as you've had similar success in Division I?
Yeah, I just think that my belief in what athletics is supposed to be really was housed at Division III, right? It was about the student athlete, and this was, many years ago, but it was about the student athlete, and you could be a student athlete, and there was balance there. I thought that aligned with me. I wasn't the star basketball player. I didn't think I was going to do this. I thought I was going to law school. I thought I was going to be a journalist. Like, that was my path. Coaching was a hobby. Never thought I could make this a career. And so I thought Division III aligned with me. I remember I talked to my boss, or my future boss. I thought I was selling my soul coming to Division I. I thought that was just that's where the nastiness happened. And he assured me that, at Bucknell, we're going to do things the right way. It's going to be similar to that. Obviously, following him to Richmond, the message was the same. Talking with Carla during this process, the message was the same. This is a special place where it's going to be a student-athlete experience, and we're going to go win some games. We're going to do this the right way as well.
Okay, Mike?
All right, Coach Aaron Roussel answering some questions from the media there. But again, the things you want to hear, about, his background, about the fact that he is loyal to a program, something you don't really see much in college athletics today. His time in Division III, he mentioned how he really didn't want to necessarily move up to Division I because he wanted to remain loyal, and even his coaching staff and his administration Division III is no, Division I is not the devil. You're going to be able to coach. You're going to be able to do things the right way. He goes to Bucknell, and then the athletic director of Bucknell is now the athletic director at Richmond, brings him along for the ride. So again, he's not been a coach who jumps. He wins at a place and wins there for a long time. So certainly, if he can do that at UVA and have that level of consistency year in and year out, I think there's plenty of excitement for what he can do in Charlotte. So, of course, the first step, I should say, he's getting the staff together. We already talked about that. But the first step is really, rebuilding this roster. Kimora Johnson's already announced her intent to transfer, and that's going to be a big piece to replace. Of course, losing some seniors as well, like Paris Clark in there. So, it's going to take a little bit of time. And he mentioned that during the press conference that, hey, you're going to see the bumps. There's going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride in the beginning, but he believes in the process because it's worked at several other stops before, and he's got the opportunity now to do so in the ACC. All right, moving on to something we covered over the weekend. The Roanoke Railyard Dogs hockey team continues to impress. They are on to the SPHL semifinals, outscoring the opposition in Birmingham 13-1 in 2 games. Neither game was close. Saturday night they clinched the series that was a best of 3 series, 6-0, and I was at that game. And really, the story, you can say as much as you want about the offense because they certainly had their way, but specifically the defense in the blue line, the transition game in the middle at Birmingham really didn't get many opportunities at all to even have a shot at Austin Raudebusch in the net. Only 13 shots, I believe, in that, or 17 shots, for Birmingham in that game. They had 3 after the first quarter. That's because every time they'd cross center ice, maybe try to establish themselves at the blue line, the Dogs were able to push them out and really force them to, try to go for shorter, quick changes or, getting stuck on their heels in defense. In fact, 2 shorthanded goals in the second period really helped change the tide. You can see the highlights of that one on WDBJ7.com. But I did want to highlight some of the work that my Huddle partner Austin Hicks did about some of the people working behind the scenes and the passion they have, not only for the Roanoke Railyard Dogs, but for hockey in this region. Let's go ahead and take you to that.
For your everyday Roanoke Railyard Dog fan, this is what victory sounds like. But for Will Statzer, this is what victory sounds like to him.
A dream come true. It was like I've been wanting it for so long and everything, just to give that chance. And both Dan and Mickey gave me that chance this year, and I'm forever grateful for them for giving me that chance.
Will has always had a love for hockey. Love that led him to purchase Crosscheck Pro Shop at the Lancerlot Sports Complex with his father, Charlie. After working with the Dogs part-time, Will was offered a full-time job as their equipment manager.
I was sitting there debating with it over the time, and my dad pulled me to the side. Is like, look, you got two options: take it, or I'm firing you to make you take it. And I was like, I want to take it then.
For Charlie, seeing his son achieve his dreams is reward enough.
As a parent, that's what you want to do. You want your kids to achieve everything that they can in life. That's what I've always pushed him to dream the impossible, hoping that he'll get to reality. Well, he's got the reality right now.
You can catch him behind the benches on game day, in his office sharpening skates, or somewhere taking a cat nap.
He does so much, it's hard to even put into words. I mean, he's here, you know, sleeping at the rink some nights, sleeping on the massage table, in between doing things, you know, sometimes not getting out of here till 4 or 5 in the morning, having to be back at 7. You know, it's a lot of long hours, but he's the one that keeps us on the ice.
The road has been long, but it's a journey he would take again.
Some people are meant for it. Other people see what's behind the scenes, what it really goes into it, and they're like, not going to go for that. But if you're serious about it, you'll never work a day in your life doing this.
In Roanoke, Austin Hicks, WDBJ7.
I love that story. Great job by Austin. Also, great job to him. I love the shot of him napping on the sideline. I think all of us who work in sports at one time or another, you've caught us catching a cat nap somewhere along the lines. But really, the people at the Rail Yard Dogs are tremendous. There's times where we're doing post-game interviews or in between periods, we're setting things up, and you can see the sparks flying from skates going all over the place, and you know, taping up sticks and getting gloves because things don't work. And they've got a very short time to be able to do that. And then after the game, you know, if they've got a game the next night or they're going on the road, I mean, you know, packing everything up, fixing things while they can, you know, a tremendous job and a tremendous opportunity for him. So great job by Austin for spotlighting that. All right, one more news item, and we did spoil it a little bit here in the beginning, but we're going back to basketball as Virginia Tech's Neokilas Abdalas ESPN is reporting that he has committed to UNC. Remember, of course, Abdalas, 12 points a game this year in his freshman year, and really got a buzz going earlier in the year. And in fact, in that early game against Providence, which I think was the second game of the season, 33 points, 5 rebounds, and of course, everybody's saying, oh, this kid could be a number one first-round draft pick in that. Went through the struggles that a freshman, you know, can do, and he certainly did that. There's nights where he kind of disappeared from the court or did not have a good night shooting, and I think, you know, coaching and players wanted a little bit more out of him because we had seen the flashes of, but now he's got to take his talents and develop that in Chapel Hill. It's a big addition for Michael Malone and that Tar Heel staff. The first real big addition, let's just say, that he's had as Malone takes over, the former Denver Nuggets coach in Chapel Hill. But you have to wonder now what that atmosphere is going to be like as you go to Chapel Hill, or more specifically, as UNC comes to Virginia Tech the next time and Abdalas comes in the blue and white. Certainly, I don't think he's going to get the home welcome like he may expect, but certainly a big loss for the Hokies. One we knew because he announced the intent to transfer, but now apparently becoming official as he transfers to UNC. All right, as we wrap up the huddle for today, a couple things we're keeping our eye on for the rest of this week. Of course, spring football. Virginia Tech is going to be, of course, hosting their spring game this upcoming Saturday. Liberty is also hosting their spring game. We're going to have coverage of Virginia Tech and Liberty coming up this Saturday. Also, there's some boxing going on in Lynchburg on Saturday night. Scott Cujo Sigmund hosting a very impressive card with Roque Zapata in the main event of the night. And if you have never gone to Lynchburg and see one of the cards that Cujo puts on, I would highly recommend it, because not only does he get great good upcoming fighters who are, you know, doing big things, but they really give it their all, and the crowds are into it as well. It's really a fun environment, and you know, we see families going out to this event, to his events in the past year, and really it's important for boxing, you know, to really kind of rebuild the fan base younger and younger, and I think Cujo's done a great job. So look him up on Facebook, Scott Cujo Sigmund, and if you can, still get some tickets. I know there's still some general admission left for this event on Saturday night. Also, we got the Blue Ridge Marathon coming up on Saturday as well in Roanoke. We're keeping our eyes on that. A very busy sports week here in town, and we're going to cover it all for you here at WDBJ and WDBJ 7 Plus, as my cohorts and Mitch Carr and Austin Hicks will be back with us hopefully later this week. But for now, that's going to do it for the Hometown Sports Huddle. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Dave Walls, and yeah, we're going to see you back on the air tonight at 11 o'clock. But until then, we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.